Mohnish Pabrai is someone Forbes has predicted to be the next Warren Buffett. We hung out while he was in his house in Orange County and I was here in Sydney. We went way above time. The guy is the founder of Pabrai Investments. He's also the founder of Dakshina Foundation. He believes that the more you give, the more you're going to get back, right? It's a great way to think. And he actually demonstrates that to us in terms of how that's come about for him. Welcome to the Leadership Show. Welcome to the Happiness Platform. I'm Ro. Let's get chatting with Mohnish. I can't wait to hear what you've got to say, and please like and subscribe, okay? Give. Talk soon.
Is to ask yourself some questions. So one question you can ask yourself is what is a job that you'd be willing to do for little or no money? And the second thing is to try try on different gloves. So do different part-time jobs or internships, or even if you go to work for someone, see how you feel about the work in your day, and you come back at night, and would you like to work 18 hours doing that, or are you just anxious for the day to end? And so I think that as you kind of look into those sorts of things, some of that can become obvious. And I got to this fairly late in life, and I was a little bit lucky, but I think in 1999, I'm part of a group called YPO, Young Presidents Organization, which is a great group.
Okay.
And we were on a retreat. There were 10 of us, and we had these two industrial psychologists basically spend a few weeks. They asked us to take a bunch of tests. They did 360 kind of analysis. So they talked to our spouses or girlfriends. If the kids were old enough, they spoke to kids, friends, employees, bosses. They really tried to get a full view. They did a bunch of interviews for each person. And then the end result of that was that they gave us all a 20-page write-up, which I think of it as my owner's manual. And unfortunately, we're a lot of us all of us are born without an owner's manual.
Correct.
Yeah. And all of us are wired differently. So in my owner's manual, they looked at the way I had configured my life, and they were able to tell what my natural strengths and biases and kind of passions were from all this data. And I was just about to start Pabrai Funds at that time, and I was in the midst of exiting from my IT company that I had started, and that had close to 200 people. And they told me that they didn't even know how I was managing the IT company with all those people and all those reports, because they said that's just not you. And so these guys, the industrial psychologists, what they said is that most of us, between our genetics and what happens to us in the first 5 years of our life, we have a certain hard-coded sets of likes, dislikes, and kind of aptitudes and passions that are set in stone, that are not going to change after the age of 5. And you can think of that kind of like, this is your kind of inner map, if you will. Mm-hmm. And what happens is the world expects us to act a certain way.
Yes.
And the world doesn't see this. So the world might say, this is how I expect you to act, and I don't really care what you are on the inside. And so what happens with most humans is there's a misalignment. And if there's a misalignment, you will not go far in life. So if you want to go far in life, what has to happen is things have to come up like this. And they are like this for people like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Muhammad Ali or any number of accomplished people in different fields, is their internal wiring and what they're doing externally are in perfect harmony.
Yes.
And so some of these guys stumbled into that, others took deliberate actions to get there. But it's not that hard to get there even without the help of these psychologists, though that can help. Is, basically just as you're going through life, just ask yourself questions. I did that activity, how did I like that? And I did this activity, and how did I like this? And what do I like and what do I not like? And how do I like to spend my days? And how would I spend my days if I wasn't concerned about money? Just what would I do on a day-to-day basis if I wasn't concerned about putting food on the table, if you will. So by asking these types of questions, we're going to get closer to the answer.
Okay.
And then when you get close to the answer, then 1 + 1 becomes 11. It just you get on a turbo path.
Hey, that's just beautifully explained. I love the element of harmony. But where, Mohnish, I find that most of the world is struggling with today, and it's obviously from what you've described, it's taken effort to find out who you are. So it's the knowing of the self, right? Mm-hmm. It's a big problem, and I'm seeing due to this problem, not just people having limitations in their material success or their corporate success, however you want to define it, but in terms of finding harmony in life. So therefore, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. People are getting restless and anxious and really confused, right? So this ability to look inwards, how much do you continuously spend time on that in terms of, asking those questions about yourself? Hey, am I still enjoying this? Is this what I like? Is that part of my nature? That type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I go back and reread that report periodically. But now it's second nature to me. Right. I understand this stuff really well. So, like for example, let's say, and I've been doing this for a long time. Let's say I go meet someone for lunch. Yeah. And we have lunch, and after the meal, I'll ask myself, how did I enjoy that experience? Right. Was it an awesome experience? Yeah. And if it was an awesome experience, it's unlikely there'll be another lunch with that person. Right. Okay. And I have two heroes, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Yeah. And they say that there's a kind of gravitational pull. If you hang out with people better than you, you're going to get better. Exactly. If you hang out with people worse than you, you're going to get worse.
And the company you keep, right?
And so one of the things that we as humans, and we have to take deliberate actions to do this, is we should take a look at the people we hang out with, and we should ask ourselves a couple of questions. One is, how do you enjoy the company of these people? And the second is, are they better or worse, and such. And so as you can kind of sift through the relationships, and you strengthen the ones that are giving you a lot of positive energy and that get you to be really happy, bring more of that into your life, and you say no. So one of the things I learned from Warren Buffett is that he gets asked a lot of things by a lot of people all the time. I want to meet you. Can you put money in my company? Yeah. I've got these financial problems. There's a zillion things that come across his desk, right? And Warren Buffett said that he's a very nice man, but he said, I've learned to be good at saying no. And it is very important. So there are two ways you can live your life. You can live your life by being diplomatic. Yes. Or you can live your life by being truthful. And sometimes the two paths are divergent. It may not be possible at all times to be truthful and diplomatic. And when you have to choose between the two, choose the truth. So do not worry too much about, I'm going to hurt this person's feelings, or he wants to go to lunch with me, and if I say no, then he'll feel bad. Trust me, humans can handle a lot of things, and you're saying no to lunch with not going to shatter someone. And so the thing is that we have very limited time on earth.
Yes.
Our time is precious.
Correct.
Don't blow it on yo-yos.
Yep.
And so try to hang out with people that you really enjoy, and people who are in different ways maybe better than you, and see what you can learn from them. So and what you'll find is that as you bring in more of that to your life, you're going to become happier. The other test to use is ask yourself after you meet someone, how did you feel in their presence?
Right.
Did you feel good being in their presence?
Yeah.
Which is, in other words, your subconscious telling you, this guy's great.
Hey,
okay?
so...
or do you feel like, let me get rid of this person?
let me get him out of here. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. I told you he's a good guy, and he's very generous in sharing with you his secrets and the importance of frameworks, etc. Please, I hope you've got your pen and paper out and taking some notes. And again, be that giving person. Help us out. Share, like, send us your comments as well. And go and lead a great, happy, fulfilled life. Let's get back to chatting with Mohnish. How do you feel when you've dropped $650,000 on a guy for lunch in his presence?
Well, it was unbelievable.
It was good, eh?
From my vantage point, let me put it this way. I had made an enormous amount of money out of the intellectual property of Warren Buffett.
Yes.
Which he's freely shared with the world.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And
but you used it though, right?
Pardon?
That's the difference is you actually believed in it and used it.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that there's a lot of humans who have deep skepticism about many things, which is fine. It's good to be skeptical. But there are times when if you look at something and you believe in it, go all in.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. Go all in. Okay? And one of the things I found is that in order to be successful, you have to go all in. So I did go all in with Buffett's approach to investing. I took that as a gospel truth. Yeah. And it turned out that he knows what he's talking about. Okay, so anyway, so I had made a lot of money, and it's kind of like, if you were living in the time of Gandhi or Einstein or Newton, and they were willing to sit down to have a meal with you, would you be willing to have a meal with them?
I'll give him my car plus something,
as it turned out, Warren Buffett happens to be alive when I'm alive, number one, which is great. Number two, he's willing to take a bribe to sit down for a meal. And the price of the bribe wasn't that high.
It wasn't that high, no.
On a relative basis. Yeah. I think when I bid for the lunch, my net worth was north of 50-60 million. Yeah. Most of it had come from him.
Right.
And so paying a 1 or 2% tax is not a big deal. We get taxed more than 50% here in California, so 1 or 2% is perfectly fine. And so my only objective to have that lunch was to look the man in the eye and to be able to thank him. Yeah. That's all I wanted to accomplish. Yes. And of course, what Warren Buffett wants to do with these annual lunches, because the money goes to a charity, is he wants to make sure that the winner of these lunches believes they got a phenomenal deal. And now these lunches, I paid $650,000. Now they go for about $3.5 million.
Wow.
And so we got quite the bargain.
Hey.
I knew I was a value guy. And anyway, so even the people who paid the 3 or 4 million, if you talk to them, they will tell you they got a bargain.
Yes.
Because what Warren Buffett does during the lunch is he tries to make sure that he is delivering as much value as possible so you feel that you got the better end of the deal.
Hey, Mohnish,
Right?
I'm getting,
And so for example, when he met us for lunch, I went with my wife and my kids and a friend of mine and his wife. There were 6 of us. So as soon as he arrived, he said, "Look, I got nothing going on all afternoon.
Yeah.
And so I will be here as long as you want me to. And when you get sick and tired of me, you can ask me to leave, and I'll leave.
Right.
But I don't have anything on my calendar.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hour lunch. It'll be as long as you guys want it." And then the second thing, I was addressing him as Mr. Buffett. Mr. Buffett this and that. And then he told my daughters, if you call me Warren,
Yeah.
maybe the grown-ups will learn. And so I think within about 5 or 10 minutes, we felt like I was talking to my grandfather.
Right. Yeah.
You get past the fact that you think you're talking to some, celebrity or highly accomplished person and so on.
Hey mate, the thing that's coming across from you loud and clear, and which is making it very, very enjoyable for me to have a conversation, is just the amount of gratefulness, right? The ability to be like feeling that you're blessed and thankful. I'm kind of getting that really loud and clear from you. And the other thing is you talk a lot about giving, right? So can you just expand on that a little bit more in terms of your thoughts around those two particular points?
When you take an approach in life, which is I'm going to be a giver, the way life works is 100x comes back to you.
Yes.
My wife tells me that of all the things that you've done, she tells me of all the things you've done, that 650,000 that you paid for Warren Buffett, which I thought you were nuts to do.
Right.
Okay, that has paid back because she's watched how it's paid back.
Yes.
He says you have made 100 times just in terms of what's come back to you from that exercise, and it was not done with the expectation that anything's coming back. Right. So I actually never, and this comes from the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
Okay. If you talk to the sages,
yes,
right, what will they tell you? They will tell you, you are here to do your duty. You are not here to pursue rewards. You are here to do your duty. And if you take a little bit more kind of intelligent approach to life, one of the things you realize about life, my dad used to tell me this. He used to say in Hindi, "Nange aaye hain, nange jana hai." And for the sliver of your listeners who didn't understand that, what it means is we come to the world naked and we leave the world naked. And he used to say, no one has succeeded in even taking a pin with them, ever, right?
Yes.
So basically, we have a very short stay on planet Earth.
Yes.
And at some point we're going to leave.
Yes.
We don't know exactly when. And when we leave, we can't take any of it. Okay, those are the rules. And so the concept of trying to hoard everything,
yes,
and screw everyone,
yes,
is one of the most dumbass concepts. Okay, because what are you going to do with the hoarding and the screwing of everyone? Because in the end, you're going to be gone. Dead.
So why do people do it? Why do people do it? Why are they always chasing? Why are they anxious? Why do they want more? And why are they always competing? Why?
Because they haven't figured out what works in life and how it works in life. So in life, what you want to do is you want to continue to build goodwill. And you don't want to keep track of building goodwill, and you don't need to do any of the math around it. Just be a giver. It's as simple as that. And you don't even need to give money. Yes. Like many of the people Adam Grant talked about, they gave time, or they gave something else. They didn't, so even our foundation in India.
Yes.
We are very clear that the kids that we're helping do not owe us anything. A lot of people will ask me, look, these people are doing so well. Why don't you tell them that they have an obligation to help you? And I'll say, we don't need to do any of that. It will take care of itself.
Of course it will, yes.
and
Yes.
and it'll take care of itself in a way that would be mind-blowing to most
Oh, definitely.
so the thing is, already a lot of our kids, they don't have money right now because they're very early in life, but they have time. They give incredible amounts of time.
Yes.
And we don't ask them to give
Yes.
time. They give time because they just like to do that. And so I think the world is asymmetric. I think that if you, the funny thing is that if you adopt, what I would call non-capitalistic policies that look stupid or appear stupid, they're actually big-time winning policies. They will take you pretty far in life.
Mate, I love that. Can we talk a little bit more about the Dutchner Foundation, what you're doing, how you set it up, how it came about?
Sure.
I mean, look, I'll let you describe it. I mean, I've done a little research on it and I love what you do.
So here's the thing. I already told you
Yeah.
I'm leaving naked. And I already told you I can't take a pin with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first law of nature.
Yes.
You can't take anything. The second thing is that large inheritances are not helpful to your gene pool. They are actually a burden on them, and they are going to take away their ability to maximize their potential in life. So very early on, my wife and I decided that we weren't really interested in leaving large inheritances. I have two daughters, and I think that both of them are very driven, and I think they are not interested in getting large amounts of money from us and such. It's not of interest at all. So the second part of it is that I knew that we would end up with more money than we could use, because that's the other thing, is that incremental dollars that we would spend would not increase our happiness. So there's very little correlation once you get to a certain point between spending and happiness. So basically, there was going to be an excess pool of cash and assets, and the only choice left is to recycle it back to society. There's really no other choice. You can't give it to your gene pool.
Yes.
You can't use it yourself, so you're going to give it to society. So basically, the Dutchner Foundation came about because that was the only choice we had. And now, if you're going to give money to society, you can do it two ways. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. And I wasn't interested in giving fish because that's kind of a dole, a continuous kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to teach fishing.
Right. Yeah.
And in India, when my wife and I grew up, we saw so much poverty around us. And we both intrinsically understood that the key way to combat poverty is through education. And so India has a large pool of very bright kids who do not get the opportunity. They're lost. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're in rural India and so on. And so the Dutchner Foundation, at the very early days, that was at the high level, we defined our mission as we're going to find extremely poor kids who have high potential. They've got brain power. And then we're going to make sure that we do everything in our power to maximize the potential of that horsepower. Because, once you get into the IITs in India, because they are state supported, they're very cheap to go to.
Okay.
But it's just, it's a tough exam to crack.
Okay.
And so that showed us the path, and that's what we started doing. Is we started identifying very bright and poor 16-year-olds across India and prepping them for a couple of years, and then focusing on the IIT entrance exams. And at any given time, we've got about 800 kids or so in our program. About 400 or 500 a year apply for the IIT test, and now about 70% of them get through.
Wow.
And we've been doing this now. I mean, the foundation started about a little over 9 years ago. And so in the last 3 years, our kids have finished college and they've entered the workforce. And some of them are in the US now. In fact, one of our kids works at Google in Mountain View. And, his parents used to make, something like $60 a month. Father was a tailor in a very poor area, of Hyderabad, and the son makes six figures.
That's wonderful
It's
news.
just it's a radical transformation in a very short period of time.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for explaining that, man. Because the other thing that really stood out to me was your thinking and the importance of having structure, right? Because I mean, blindsidedness comes in when you're in business. You know that. Frame blindness comes in, etc. I noticed that you're a big believer in frameworks, checklists, right? Can you talk to me about that and the importance of having that and why one should rely on frameworks, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, checklists apply in certain facets of life, and they were the pioneers of the usage of checklists was the aviation industry. So checklists are kind of a hack that carry a lot of weight without taking up a lot of resource. And Atul Gawande wrote about it. Obviously, he's a brilliant guy, and they've applied checklists in medicine and in surgery with spectacular results. We've obviously seen aviation become one of the safest means of transportation because of checklists. And I felt that the checklist also had value in the sphere of investing, because just like aviation or medicine, when we're looking at making an investment in a business, the number of factors that can affect a business in the future are a myriad of factors. There could be 100 things that could affect a business in the future. So what I did is, when we built our checklist, we basically focused on looking at mistakes people had made, because that's how the aviation industry works. Every time there's a plane crash, the authorities, FAA, NTSB, all these guys go in and they try to figure out what went wrong.
Yes.
And after they figure out what went wrong, they'll make changes to either airplanes or procedures or pilot training to make sure that thing is not going to happen again. And
Correct.
because they've been doing this for decades, you have very safe aviation. So what I did when we built our checklist is I looked at great investors who had made very basic mistakes in investing and lost money. And what I found is that even the greatest of minds, like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, many times they lose money on their investments. And the reason they lose money is for a reason that was extremely obvious before the investment was made. They missed it. And they didn't miss it because they were stupid. They missed it because they didn't have a rigorous process of going through a list. So the checklist is just a freebie. It's a great thing to do.
Beautiful, man. That's wonderfully explained. Talk to me about, just describe to me about, like, when you're out there sussing or checking a business out to invest in or to buy, or whatever it may be. What's the process? What goes through you? How do you feel? What are some of the things that you're looking at? I just want to make sure some of our listeners look at it and listen to it and get inspired by it and get a couple of clues like you did from Warren.
Yeah. So the first thing is that whenever I'm looking at businesses or companies, I'm always looking for a reason to say no as quickly as possible and to be done with it. Okay. Because the thing is that we have, if you look at public companies, globally there are 50,000 or so businesses that are publicly traded. I might make 3 investments a year. So, there's a large data set and there's a very small pool that I'm going to invest in.
Lots of no's.
And it's clearly I don't have the time to study 50,000 businesses, because each one would take a lot of time. So I use shortcuts. So the first shortcut is, you don't need to know everything about a business before you say no. The moment you hit the first thing that bothers you, you're done. It's the same as, whether you want to make someone a close friend or not. You're not going to do a, 3-month analysis on every human you meet. What you're going to do is, in the first few minutes, is there a connection?
Yeah.
If there's not a connection, you're probably not going to make it, right?
Exactly.
And so so the questions I ask, the first question I ask when I look at a business is it within my circle of competence? Do I understand the business? So there's lots of industries that I don't understand.
Yes.
Biotech, I don't understand biotech. Okay, the healthcare industry in the US, which I think is a corrupt industry, I just don't want to go there. Health insurance companies, I don't want to go there, right? So there's lots and lots of businesses with an entire swath of industry that I'm not interested in. So we just bypass that. Anything based in Russia is not of interest. Anything based in Zimbabwe is not of interest. Okay, so the thing is, the thing is, you just ask the first question: is it within circle of competence, or is it just missing some basic stuff where we're not going to go there?
Right.
That wipes out more than 90% of what I look at, maybe 95%.
Right.
So most things that I look at are gone within the first 10 or 15 seconds of looking at them, very fast. Very few things survive for a minute. Okay, very few things.
Right.
And then very few things survive for an hour. Okay.
Yep.
And then even fewer survive for a day.
Okay.
And sometimes I might study a business for 3 months before we invest. Okay, so, and sometimes it might be a week before we invest. It just depends on the business.
Yes.
So the idea is that we're doing elimination. We're always looking to eliminate. And there is no, unlike in baseball, investing is a game where there are no called strikes. So I'm sorry for the Aussies, they may not exactly understand that.
We get it. We do okay.
But I think they can figure it out. But basically the idea is in baseball, you miss 3 pitches in the strike zone and you're out.
Yes.
In investing, you can let 100 pitches go by, and you can still sit there waiting for the next one. There's no penalty for saying no to a business. There is a penalty for saying yes to the wrong business.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
So what you have to do is, it's a process. The process is the same as human relationships. The way you pick who you hang out with is the way you pick the businesses. And again, what you're looking for ideally with the businesses. So I won't invest in a company that makes tobacco products.
I love that.
I'm not interested in buying a casino, right? So now I may not have a problem buying Coke, for example. We might be okay with Coke and chips and so on.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But we're certainly not going to go to the other human vices.
No.
So what I'm looking for is businesses that have a noble purpose, if you will, or at least not an evil purpose. So that again wipes out a bunch of businesses. And you just go down the line.
Hey, I love that, and I absolutely love that. And I when I talk to chairmen and boards, etc., I often ask them, and I often see just are they courageous enough? Do they have a set of virtues that they live by, right? Because so many of these guys are being...
It's very important.
Yeah. Hey man, so when you're looking at companies and you're assessing the chair or the board or the CEO, etc., do you look at their personal side of it, who they are, where they're taking the organization, what type of humans they are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, first of all, I would just say this. The CEO of the average public company is a person you'd be happy to have your daughter marry. Okay, so in general, you're not dealing with used car salesmen.
Yes.
It is a significantly above average crowd. Now, it doesn't mean there's not a bunch of shysters in there. But what I'm saying is that group in general is a fairly high quality group. But that group does have a few traits. For example, they're very good salespeople. That's how they got there. There's nothing wrong with being good salespeople, same salesperson. And they've got good interpersonal skills, they've got good speaking skills. Those are all skills that are going to be helpful to you. But yeah, so I think what you want to try to get to, and you don't even need to meet these people to get there, what you want to try and get to is their passions. Would they do this job if they weren't getting paid? Why are they doing this job? Those types of things. And in most cases, it's a misnomer. Most people don't work for money. People think that people work for money. People don't work for money. People work for a cause. And so what you want to see is what's the cause, what's the culture, where they're trying to go, how are they trying to build this thing, are they taking care of their people, all those sorts of good things.
It's wonderful, mate. You know, I love what you're doing with the Dakshina Foundation. I love your philosophy in investing. I've had such a ball. I reckon we could talk for another couple of days, actually, but your wife is probably calling you. And my one's probably circling around soon with the baby, you know.
All right,
hey, thanks,
bro.
bro.
We'll see you.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
Ciao, man.
Great.
That was absolute fun. Mohnish shared so much knowledge with you all, as he does quite often. So I hope you got a whole heap out of that. Thank you for joining us. I've got another 12 of these episodes with world champions. Please enjoy it, share it around, and spend at least 10 to 15 minutes a day on yourself as far as working on the internal you, lots of breathing, lots of meditation, and lots of self-love. Talk to you soon. I'm Ro.